YouTube, what is going on? It's the Nero Talk 23. I'm back with another video. Before we get into the video, YouTube, I need you to hit the like, comment, and subscribe button. Turn on that post notification bell while you at it. We got a true crime story. We got the kids who were killed by dad for mom's lesbian affair. Let's get straight into it.
I remember saying to myself, you know, what the hell? How many more could there possibly be?
These are the Kaylors. Their friends saw them as the staple, all-American family. They lived in a big house in Weatherford, Texas, 3 generations united in a tight-knit group, always laughing and spending time together. But one day, it all came to a gruesome end. Only 2 members of the large family survived. Officers weren't quick enough responding to their chilling 911 calls. Who could have wanted the whole family dead on a Thanksgiving afternoon? Why would this happy family have any enemies? The detectives would unravel an outrageous story filled with jealousy, insecurities, and shocking lapses of judgment. This is the full story of the Kaylor family. It was Thanksgiving Day 2009, and the Kaylor family gathered together for dinner. They were at Grandma Dorothy's farmhouse. The parents, James, Craig, and Karen, had recently gotten a divorce. So the family now included Karen, her partner, and her 3 children, 2 teenage girls, and a 10-year-old boy. Sadly, that holiday would end in tragedy. Within an hour of the family gathering around the dinner table, 89-year-old Dorothy called 911. The dispatcher froze. Poor Dorothy was screaming, helplessly. She kept urging the dispatcher to send help ASAP. There was a crazed gunman inside her house, firing at anything that moved. It's heartbreaking, but these were Dorothy's last words. When first responders arrived, they found her lifeless body on the kitchen floor.
Her forearm, her abdomen.
I couldn't be no 911 dispatcher, bro. Like, I could not do that type of job. You gotta sit here and listen to people plead out for help, and you know you not
But
there,
there wasn't
so...
anything that I could do for her at that moment.
The officer followed a stomach-turning red trail into the living room. There he found Dorothy's granddaughter, 44-year-old Karen, in the same state.
She was on the floor, on her back. She didn't look like she was breathing or had a pulse.
Next came Karen's daughter, 18-year-old Emily, her lifeless body next to her mother's.
She had been shot once in the chest. She either was hiding or fell behind the couch in the coffee table. I remember saying to myself, you know, what the hell? How many more could there possibly be?
Just as the officer was preparing for more horror, he heard a faint voice coming from upstairs. A female voice was pleading for help. It was Karen's other daughter, 16-year-old Lauren. She had been hit in the back.
Her lower right side was turning purple as I was watching it, so I could see the blood pooling up internally.
Lauren was in a bad state, but she was fighting for her life.
Hold on. Don't move. I know. Don't move.
I don't want to die.
I'm going to take care of you, okay?
Lauren had just a few more minutes to live. With her dying breath, she told the detective who had unalived her entire family.
She told me, Craig. And I said, who's Craig? She said, my dad.
Karen and James Craig Kaylor had been together since college at Kansas State University. Craig was in his last year studying engineering, and Karen was a freshman. For years, they looked like the perfect couple. Beautiful, smart, ambitious. Within a few years, they got married and had a daughter, Emily. In 1999, Craig was offered the job of a utility director in Weatherford, Texas. The pay rise was enormous. The young family could not pass up that opportunity.
It was a not only well-paying job, but a well-respected position within the community.
So they packed their bags and moved into a much bigger home in Weatherford, close to Fort Worth. Soon enough, they had 2 more children, a second daughter, Lauren, and a Sean son. Immediately, they settled into Weatherford. Karen would bake cakes and offer food to all her neighbors, and the kids were friendly, outgoing, and eager to play with all the other kids in the community.
Emily was
Nice little family.
and
That's how it
she
starts.
was a smart kid, a pleaser, wanted to do good, kind of like her mom, creative and smart.
Emily would go on to attend St. Louis College of Pharmacy. Lauren was an honors student at Columbia High School.
She was kind of silly, more of a creative, outside-the-box kind of a thinker.
Both girls were in an all-girls rock band. They drummed, played instruments, and sang. The whole family was admired by friends and neighbors. They were an all-American family, but you and I both know that we never see what goes on behind closed doors. Sometimes the most perfect-looking couples can have the most toxic secrets. Karen confided in her sister Lynn that Craig was becoming more and more controlling. Years into their marriage, he even started giving her curfews and an allowance. He supervised her every move and wanted to see receipts for all of her purchases. He also demanded that they have intimate relations every night at 8 p.m. sharp. What the heck?
If she didn't do what he wanted, bedtime at 9, she would, quote, pay for it.
It's safe to say Karen was not in a consensual relationship anymore. She just did what her husband asked to avoid his rage. She was trapped in something truly horrible, and the only reason she wasn't leaving was fear of Craig.
She found it just easier to go along with, okay, he expects this, so I might as well just do it, so I don't have to pay for it later.
Desperate for freedom and peace of mind, Karen sought new hobbies. She joined a local gym where she would go every day while the kids were at school and Craig was at work. Karen was so good and so hardworking, she was soon hired as a fitness instructor at the gym. It was a big shift from her original career and a breath of fresh air from the awful marriage. To her surprise, Craig did not throw a tantrum when he found out about her new hobby or job. He said she could do whatever she wanted as long as she was home on time to look after the children. And you know what else. It was at the gym that Karen met a fellow personal trainer, Sunny Reese. Karen and Sunny became best friends overnight, but they soon knew it was much more than that. They were in love.
My theory is Karen was so beaten down for so long. Finally, somebody took an interest in her in a positive way and treated her well.
This was one of those rich, meaningful love stories. Not just a fling. Karen knew she had to let her husband know, whatever the consequences may be. Worst case scenario, they broke up, right? It wasn't like Craig seemed too happy with Karen anyway. When Karen told Craig, he encouraged Karen to continue seeing Sunny. Wait, what?
Kind of had a thought in mind of the
What?
three of them.
They should have known something was up.
Threesome type of situation.
But Craig's fantasy quickly waned.
It seems like it kind of backfired on him.
That's when Craig went back to his old ways of being controlling. Now his life mission was to make Karen break up with Sunny. He went as far as getting a new job in a new town, Columbia, Missouri. He was now the highest paid employee in the city. In June 2008, he forced his entire family to move to a new house in Columbia. He put 700 miles between Karen and Sunny, hoping that would end their relationship. Of course, it didn't. Karen and Sunny would text and call each other, write long emails, and visit each other halfway whenever they had the chance. It was almost like a forbidden teenage romance, made even stronger by the controlling parent figure that Craig was. Needless to say, Karen was no longer in her marriage. Karen and her
She
family
was
celebrated
still
New
meeting
Year's
up, dude,
2009 back in Weatherford, and Sunny was also there. Their relationship was no longer a secret. Karen's teenage daughters knew about it, and anyone who didn't see the way they looked at each other that night. That was...
If I don't make it back, I want them to know I tried. Hell, I'm still trying.
That was one last blow to Craig. After the party, they fought the entire night until Craig pushed her. Karen smashed her head on the street. That night, she was afraid for her life. A few days later, she handed him the divorce papers. She moved into the spare room of the house, hoping that would keep her safe enough from her raging husband. Craig proceeded to desperately call Karen's family day after day. He would oscillate between pleading with them to convince Karen to take him back and smear campaigning against her. He called her names for having a lesbian affair and claimed she wanted to steal all his money and children. When he wasn't harassing Karen's family, he was taking it out on Karen. It got so bad that Sunny ended up emailing him, "You can't force, threaten, or humiliate Karen like you did yesterday and expect her to love you for it. She is only staying with you because she believes that right now it is best for the kids. She doesn't love you, Craig, not like you think she does." In March, after another fight got physical, Karen phoned law enforcement and had Craig arrested. In her statement, she said,
"Over time, it has become apparent that Craig is controlling. I have learned along the way that he is capable of using force. The issues vary, but I figured out how to keep things from becoming ugly. When money was a problem, I wouldn't tell him what things, groceries, clothing, etc., cost. When it was about sex, I decided it was easier to give him what he wanted every night than to refuse. On occasions I would refuse, he has been known to be forceful and mean. I'm afraid it will escalate so far that someone is going to be seriously hurt.
It's truly disturbing that Karen was forced into non-consensual acts for so long. You can be married with kids, but you still need your partner's consent every single time. Craig was a monster, and Karen lasted long enough, believing her children would be happier with a stable family life. But this life wasn't stable anymore. In fact, many psychologists agree that witnessing horrific fights between parents is more traumatizing than growing up with a single parent. Karen pressed charges and moved out of the family home together with her 3 kids. After this, Craig cut out his teenage daughters from his life. He refused to see them and even talk about them. He only wanted to see his son, Sean. Emily and Lauren were happy to be out of that toxic environment, and they fully supported their mother's relationship with Sonny. This angered Craig even more. He referred to his daughters as rotting corpses. Meanwhile, he stalked his ex-wife and even broke into her home to hack her emails and install cameras. When Karen found her car tires slashed, she phoned 911 and reported Craig again. In the summer of 2009, Craig's behavior got more erratic. He was volatile at work too. He would get angry easily, show his colleagues photos of his family over and over again, and he would even leave work unannounced. Why? To spy on Karen while she was at work. In September 2009, Craig was fired. He was paid 2 months' salary, but with his recent record, it was unlikely he wouldn't find a decent job soon. So he moved back in with his parents. He had reached rock bottom. On Saturday, November 29th, 2009, Karen and her children gathered at Grandma Dorothy's house to celebrate Thanksgiving. Dorothy had driven that day from her Kansas farmhouse to Craig's family home to pick up 10-year-old Sean. He'd spent Friday with his dad, but he was going to spend the Saturday with his mom. That evening, the emergency services received the blood-curdling call. When officers arrived at the scene, they found a horrific scene. Karen, Dorothy, and Emily were dead. Lauren succumbed to her injuries seconds after telling the officer it was all her dad's doing. Meanwhile, Sean appeared in tears on Dorothy's neighbor's steps. He begged them to call 911. When first responders spoke to Sean, he also confirmed Craig as the attacker. He was cleaning some coins when he saw him enter Dorothy's house with a rifle. He had cold, evil eyes and did not make any contact with his family. He was set to unalive them all that day. Sean knew he had to run. He could not save his family. Within minutes, an alert was sent out for Craig's arrest. That's when someone noticed a man abandoning his truck in the middle of nowhere and running down on a deserted road. The vehicle was identified as Craig's. When officers searched the car, they found loads of ammo, an unopened anxiety medication bottle, a backpack containing cleaning supplies, and canned food.
The biggest thing for me, and that I still have no answer for, is how a father can do that to his children. He literally had to chase one of his daughters to the house.
8 hours after the discovery of the scene, at 7 a.m., Craig was arrested. He looked lost and disheveled. When he saw the officers, he approached them and told them, "I'm the guy you're looking for." He just wanted it all to be over. His initial plan was to run away, hence the cleaning supplies and food. He also had hundreds of dollars in cash on him, as well as gloves, a flashlight, and a hunting bag. But as soon as he did what he did, he realized he couldn't carry out his runaway plan. He was arrested and charged with 4 counts of first-degree murder.
This doesn't look really very good, as you sure well understand. And just obviously it's the Sonny connection. I said, I'm just so happy there's something you want to try. Just don't want to lose you in the process. Just be careful. Just trying to be nice.
Craig explained how he became obsessed with Karen's affair with Sonny, but he never spoke about his controlling nature or how he pushed Karen out for years before that. Craig's defense claimed that losing his wife to a torrid affair, losing his job, and having to move back in with his parents made him mentally ill. The unopened anxiety meds in his car and the fact that he didn't try to run or cover up his actions that night stood as proof, they said. The last part of the defense tried to argue that on that night, Craig snapped. It was not
And our company, Frogs to Dogs, likes to invite people to come in and learn more about how to
I
socialize
don't got
their
no
dogs.
pets. Get out of here.
It was not premeditated, they said. He was so mentally unwell that he did not realize he was doing it until the second he was doing it. He was diagnosed with depression, anxiety, OCD, narcissistic, and histrionic personality disorder. It made sense given his prior behavior in his marriage, too. His obsession with controlling his partner, never considering Karen's wishes and needs, and his obsession with order and repetition could all be linked to these disorders. However, as the prosecution pointed out, this explained Craig's long-term behavior, not just a final snap. Craig had become increasingly erratic, volatile, and violent toward his family over 2008 and 2009. His actions were premeditated. The expert psychologist testified that while Craig did suffer from depression and other mental illness, he was perfectly capable of discerning right from wrong. Another nail to the cross was the fact that Craig purposefully saved Sean's life, so it was a conscious decision. Poor Sean, now 12, testified against his father. It's tough to imagine how he must have felt about it. Despite his age and unimaginable trauma, Sean was clear, calm, and concise. Sunny also testified and confirmed years of Craig maltreating Karen. She also said that Craig accepted his wife's affair until he changed his mind. James Craig Kaler was found guilty on all 4 counts. His pleas of insanity were rejected.
Kaler showed no emotion today as he heard his fate. The execution sentence comes as retribution for the deaths of 4 family members.
Not only did Craig not speak and apologize for his actions, he also asked if he could leave the room and not listen to the victim impact statements. The judge ordered him to stay.
I loved Grandma White, Karen, Emily, and Lauren very much, and will miss them until the end of my days.
From death row, Craig wrote several letters to officials, stating he felt relieved after offing his family. He still had no remorse.
What?
He felt he freed his son from Karen's relationship with Sunny. Yeah, freed is what he did. Poor Sean will have to live with the memory of losing his entire family at the hands of his demented father forever. And yet, his father shows no understanding of what he did to him. As of 2023, Craig continues to try and appeal his sentence, but all of his appeals are getting rejected. Sean grew up with his grandparents. He graduated high school and he is now working in Kansas. One can only hope that he